All right, if everybody's here, I'd like to have everybody please stand up and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance to start.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
Okay.
of the
to the
United
States of America and to the
The
republic
Republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a disaster.
An elementary concert.
Thank you. Hey, Chip, would you be ready for that special presentation?
Yes, I'm ready, Mayor.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we had a couple events happen recently, a couple fires, and during these fires, our first responders went above and beyond their call of duty. This afternoon, myself and Trustee Pecos delivered 3 accommodations to 2 police officers and a firefighter, and we taped that because I wanted to do that in person for our employees. So if, Chip, you could run that right now and watch it.
I'd do something a little different today. In the news, our first responders have gotten some negative press, especially our police. Today, I'd like to change that. On August 25th, 2020, at 12:40 hours, the Fredonia Fire Department was dispatched to report of a structure fire with smoke showing at 24 University Park in the village of Fredonia. Engine 14 arrived on the scene reporting a working structure fire, and Fredonia PD also arrived on the scene. A report of entrapment of persons was made. Fredonia Police Chief Phil Maslock and Officer Rob Tracy went to the rear of the structure of a lower apartment. The 2 officers proceeded to knock out an air conditioner unit out of a window and alert a male occupant to leave and assist him out the window. These 2 gentlemen went above and beyond the call of duty that they normally do, and for that, we'd like to give them accommodations of service here. First accommodation would be for Chief Maslock, and the certificate reads, whereas in the interest of the village of Fredonia is to serve and govern for and by the citizens and to ensure their community prospers. Oftentimes, individuals perform in a manner which distinguishes themselves in the eyes of the community and provides beneficial service as a whole. In recognition of individual meritorious and professional service, Police Chief Phil Maslock is presented this certificate commending him for going beyond the call of duty on August 25th, 2020, when acting unselfishly and courageously during a rescue of a person from a burning house. Issued this 8th day of September 2020, Mayor Douglas Essick. Chief Maslock. Congratulations. The second officer on the scene was Officer Rob Tracy. Whereas the interest of the village of Fredonia is to serve and govern for and by the citizens and to ensure their community prospers. Oftentimes individuals perform in a manner which distinguishes themselves in the eyes of the community and provides beneficial service as a whole. In recognition of individual meritorious and professional service, Police Officer Rob Tracy is presented the certificate commending him for going beyond the call of duty on August 25th, 2020, when acting unselfishly and courageously during a rescue of a person from a burning house. Issued this 8th day of September 2020. Congratulations. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Douglas Essick. I'm the mayor of the village of Fredonia. I'm here today to honor one of our first responders in the call of duty. On August 28th, 2020 at 18:22 hours, we had a fire dispatch to report of a structure fire at the Econo Lodge Hotel on Bennett Road. Upon arrival, firefighters found a mattress fire and it was contained to the room of origin. The cause of the fire was determined to be suspicious in nature. The occupant of the motel room left the scene before he could be questioned. After the scene was cleared by personnel and equipment, Chief Walker proceeded to return equipment back to the city of Dunkirk. While en route to the city on Route 60, Chief Walker noticed a male subject matching the description of the occupant of the motel room coming out of a wooded area walking. Immediately, Chief Walker summoned Fredonia Police Department while keeping the subject in sight. Fredonia Police Department arrived on scene and questioned the subject. The subject was placed into custody and was subsequently charged with second-degree arson and remanded to Chautauqua County Jail. Chief Walker, at the scene of the fire, determined the cause to be suspicious in nature and was made aware of the description of the person of interest, the male occupant of the room. While en route to returning the equipment to the Dunkirk Fire Department, he was perceptive in the observance of this individual coming out of the wooded area and had knowledge and mindfulness to keep the individual in sight while summoning the police to stop and question this subject. Again, the individual was charged with second-degree arson and was remanded to Chautauqua County Jail. The citizens of the village of Fredonia, the town of Pomfret, and the surrounding communities are fortunate to have first responders such as Fire Chief Ryan Walker serving them. The village of Fredonia would like to recognize the efforts of Chief Walker and thank him for his above and beyond service. For that, we have a certificate of commendation, whereas an interest of the village of Fredonia is to serve and govern for and by the citizens and to ensure their community prospers. Oftentimes, individuals perform in a manner which distinguishes themselves in the eye of the community and provides beneficial service as a whole. In recognition of individual meritorious and professional service, Fire Chief Ryan Walker has presented this certificate commending him for going beyond the call of duty on August 28, 2020, when acting unselfishly and courageously after a structure fire at the Econo Lodge, identifying and maintaining surveillance of a person of interest in a fire that was determined to be suspicious in nature, and contacting Fredonia Police to stop, question, and place the subject in custody. This is issued on this 8th day of September 2020 by myself, Mayor Douglas Sussek. Congratulations, Chief Walker. So, there's 3 gentlemen got commendations today. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Okay, Chip?
Go ahead, man.
Yes. Okay. We are very fortunate to be in a community that we have first responders that go above and beyond many times in their service to our community. So we live in a very great community, and we are provided by above and beyond service of first response. So we'd like to again thank those 3 individuals and everybody else who serves us day in and day out. Is there any comments or questions on that? Okay. We'll go to review resolutions. Resolution approving Tracy Matrano Town Hall at Barker Common Gazebo. Any comments? Any questions on that resolution? 2, resolution to approve Justice Court audit with Drescher and Malecki. Any comments or any questions? 3, resolution to approve Thomas Ludoswetsky to become a member of Chautauqua County Mobile Air Response. Any questions or any comments? Resolution to approve Leslie Ludoswetsky becoming a member of Chautauqua County Fire Police Team. Or 5, resolution approving repaving of tennis courts. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, and basically this is a lot cheaper than we've been paying. It's a new company that started up because of the cost of resurfacing. Tom Battaglia, our recreation director, took the time to find this company, bid it out. I know from the time I was doing it back, actually when Dave Jambron was doing it, we were paying $10,000 for everything, and it just kept going up and up and up. So it's one of those things where if we don't do it, we're going to lose those courts. So even though it's still a good chunk of money, it's half of what we spent last time.
Okay.
Yep.
Roger, do you know if we have any, per our procurement policy, do we have any of the written quotations, requests for the proposals for that? You know if there's any written quotes that we got or received that
Yes.
I don't have in our
The-
packet?
2 of them were sent with the email, I believe. Anne Marie, they came with the resolution, the request for resolution.
I thought, I must not have seen them, Eva Dawn. I'm sorry, I thought just the email. I just printed out the email.
They were attachments.
Okay.
Okay.
We do have them.
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or,
Again, it's one of those things where if you don't take care of it, it's gonna end up costing us more in the long run.
yep, absolutely.
The only thing, Tom, is I noticed they had down striping the pickleball lines with yellow. I thought we used gray or like a bluish gray.
It is just what, I can alter, I can ask him to do a different one, but usually tennis lines are white and yellow lines are just to differentiate.
Right. I remember we did one color, and then we saw there was, what was it, up
That
in
was just, I
Lakewood,
think
they used something
I think
different?
It was just the paint that we used, the DPW used, so I think this will be a little bit.
Yeah, the people were confused about which lines were which at one point.
And it was that, remember, we did that as a demand, so that was after the fact. That was just, okay, let's put these lines down. Now this is gonna be integrated as
Right.
parts of the resurface. So I would say this is going to look significantly better. At least the pictures that he submitted to me, so.
I'm not familiar with now the pickleball.
All right. Move forward. New business, special meeting for the purpose of reviewing the first quarter of the budget. Is there 2 trustees that would like to request a meeting and I can have that scheduled?
I would.
Me too.
Yeah.
Trustee Pecos? Is there a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Pecos, trustee Batchor. Okay. When, like that?
We talked to doing a special meeting for that, I believe.
Yes, he's asking for a
And-
date.
When would you like that scheduled?
How about the middle of the month, the 15th? Is it Tuesday? Can we do it at 4 o'clock?
Is there anything scheduled, Anne Marie?
I don't have
Has to be a
anything
Monday?
on your calendar, but
Yep.
I might have.
How about next Monday?
Well,
Something scheduled, trustee Bashar. Don't we have interviews?
we do, but are they at 4?
No, they're not.
Yeah,
They'll be just
right.
ending.
Yes. Well, how about
Next week?
at 4
Monday.
o'clock before the next meeting?
Okay, the 21st?
Are we good for that?
Yeah.
I am.
We're good?
Okay,
It
Yes?
doesn't have, is that still a special meeting?
Well, because we're changing the time. We're gonna meet at 4 or 4:30.
Chip, do you have any issues with that, Chip, as far as covering that if need be?
Special meetings don't have to be,
I don't think they have to be
special
televised.
meetings don't have to be televised, I don't believe.
And they'll be open to the public by then, I think, aren't we? Even limiting?
So we would do the special meeting at 4, and that would be followed by our regular workshop at 5:30?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
Or actually 6:30, because we,
6:30 is
We're
our,
gonna change.
we'll be on a 6:30 workshop.
until the next resolution, yeah.
Well, we could call
Yeah.
a meeting for 5:30 instead if we wanted to.
Yeah, we could, because the workshop doesn't have to,
we could,
yeah, we could,
instead of waiting around for an hour.
yeah,
Probably not a bad idea.
right.
Well, if we're gonna meet at 4, I don't see that taking 2.5 hours.
Right.
No, so let's do the special meeting at 4 and a workshop at 5:30.
Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer that if we can.
On Monday, September 21st?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
did we say 4:30 or 4?
I think we said 4
You said
for
4.
special meeting and
4, okay.
5:30 for workshop.
Okay, we clear with that?
Yep.
All right, resignation of dog control officer. We have a letter of resignation from Doug Bung, resigning his position. Is that, I'm trying to think of, how we filled that, if that's something that I, take care of, or is that a board, thing?
I believe that's a board thing, Doug, but I also think that after talking with Chief Maslock about this earlier in the year, I think, well, first of all, we actually have two guys who are currently acting as our dog control officer, that the stipend paid to them are split between Doug Bunge and Josh Seibart. And I think we probably need to have a conversation with Josh before we move forward with this. But I also had a conversation with Chief Maslock earlier in the year, who suggested that perhaps when the time was appropriate, that we might want to look at changing this dog control officer to an animal control officer, and things that would be a little more encompassing, for example, cats.
Raccoons.
And raccoons, that kind of stuff. But I'd like to do a little more research on that. But in the meantime, I'd like to talk with Josh Seibart about, we used to have just one dog control officer. And we went to two as a backup, and the stipend was split. But I think we should have a conversation with Josh before we move forward. And I'd like to get a little more information from Chief Maslock about animal control versus dog control before we move forward on this.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Energy study RFQ. That was just, again, those were two from Siemens and Wendell, I believe. They're still on the table to be reviewing. Any questions or concerns on that?
Just,
Go ahead.
are we going to, are we gonna move forward with these, especially for Village Hall? Is there a plan?
Attorney Guard, you were handling these energy study RFQs previously. Could you address that, please?
Yes, trustee, we're in the process right now. The mayor and I have finished going through the proposals and in the process of putting that together in some kind of outline or recommendation to the board. Should have it done for the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving forward, LED replacement initiative for the village. I have been getting emails from a gentleman that did the LED replacement. Their company did the LED replacement for the city of Dunkirk, and previous to that, I got an email from the gentleman from National Grid. Is that something the board would like to move forward on at this point, or hold off until this COVID-19 thing is over? If you want to move forward, I can schedule Zoom coverage with these people at one of our meetings.
I see no reason to stall it. I'd say let's move forward. I don't know if we have to have multiple bids or not, but I think that's not a, I don't see that as a job where you're gonna have a lot of people close to each other. So I would think we should be able to do it even with the COVID problem going on.
I thought we already had I thought we, must be that we did not go through with it, but didn't we already talk about this and have a plan to do this several years ago?
Okay, yeah, I mean, this has been on the table, been, on the table for quite some time, and I don't think we ever selected the company to
Okay.
do it. NRG had a plan for us to do it, and there was the cost factors presented.
Did we not do it because it was too expensive?
And I thought we got one from that other company that Dunkirk used too, so I don't know.
Is this for streetlights or buildings, or what are we talking?
This is for street light replacement.
Yeah.
Is
The energy
just a
study
matter
was
of
for
changing
the
the bulb?
buildings.
Right.
Is this a matter of just changing the bulb? Do the fixtures have to be changed? Is it just the bulb, or is it the fixtures?
I think some of the fixtures have to be changed, because those fixtures out there are old. That was one of the issues, that they would have to all be replaced, and it was very expensive or something.
One of the programs that if we were to buy out, was to buy out the old lights and then had to replace with new fixtures. There was a big cost to that, but there was still benefit overall.
Is
Yes, it's more than just the bulb, Trustee Batshaw. It's the fixtures, and kind of if you go with National Grid, buying out, or, you know, different companies is buying out the poles themselves,
Right.
and there's a lot involved to it, more than just changing bulbs, so it could be quite extensive, it could be fairly simple. And it's part of the, I believe it's part of the energy saving proposals as well as the LED from the study RFQs.
Some of these jobs that Tony talked about, like with the Siemens project, it seemed like it was, it would pay for itself. It wasn't gonna cost us anything. The savings would pay for the cost. Is that?
This was different.
This is
This
different?
was very expensive, I recall, and I think that's why we didn't move forward with it at the time. It's probably
Yeah,
3
this-
years ago or so.
Yeah, that was probably when the city of Dunkirk moved on it, but I believe, I'm not 100% sure whether the city of Dunkirk had funding for that.
There was a cost
That
up
we might
front,
not
but
have
it was a
had,
pretty
so.
quick payback on it. The
So
payback
if the board's wishes, I will contact these two companies and we can schedule a time for them to do a proposal for us during a meeting, if that's all right.
Didn't they already don't we have a proposal somewhere?
Can we dig
Those are
out
2
the
years
old?
old. I'm kind of guessing that's going to be probably not relevant currently.
Okay.
Perhaps they could be updated. Is it the same companies that we're seeking from information?
National Grid is the one that we gave us a proposal before, and I'm not sure if this other company that did the city of Dunkirk gave us proposals before, or did no, I don't know. I can't recall. It was a few years ago. I don't recall.
Well, I say let's move forward with it.
Okay, I will do that. I will contact them and schedule them for a future meeting, Chair. Is there any other new business? Does anybody have any new business?
Well, I had sent out that email to you and the board regarding Barker Commons. I don't know if you want me to address some of these things now or during my trustees report.
Whichever you prefer.
Okay, I'll do it now then. So,
Okay.
I'm just gonna go down the list, because as I said in the, I'll hit on some of it now, the rest I'll save for my trustees report. But as I said, I wasn't sure if some of these things should be addressed with Tony and the DPW, or if these should go to Joy Keebler, but a couple of things I've noticed, where they replanted the grass around the gazebo, that came in really nice, but then other spots are still brown, nothing's growing, so I didn't know if it was the same company, if we need to have them come back, or if we did it and we just need to maybe seed it again. That can happen, especially because we had a stretch we didn't get any rain, so that might be part of the cause.
Well, I'm guessing Trustee Pecos, Tony being the clerk of the works, I believe probably on this project, he should go through and, do a final inspection of the work, and then we'll be contacting the contractor to see if they can rectify that.
And then along with this, and this probably should be more ongoing business than new business, but any idea when our benches are going to be installed in the park?
Yes, I did get that from Travis. The benches are in October. Let's see here where I have it down. Second. Find where I put it. Anyhow, I believe the benches are either this month or next month to be delivered and installed. I don't know if there was a delay in getting the benches, but that was part of that. And the posts you see throughout the parks, they came without loops welded to them to secure mobile furniture. That will also be done at the same time. So I believe it's by the end of next month for sure, Roger.
So I'm assuming trash cans are probably along with that too.
That's correct.
So then could you see if Tony, they could put some trash cans, trash barrels in the park? Because what's happening is there's no place to throw out garbage, and it's all ending up either on the ground or in the fountains. Just by the looks of it, it looks like probably there was a group sitting on the fountain, and to their credit, they at least stacked them all up inside the fountain. They didn't throw them on the ground, but still, if we had some trash cans there, we probably wouldn't have that problem.
I will direct Tony to put some trash cans out there currently.
I don't know if this would be a question for Travis or Joy, but by the West Fountain, if you walked from the fountain right towards the intersection of Main and Water, that first block is up a good inch. And I don't understand how they missed that because they poured the block right next to it. So I would say either we see if that should have been fixed and they didn't fix it, and if not, I really think that we should look at fixing that before somebody trips on it.
I will forward your email and I will give a call to Travis. I will forward your email both to Joy and Travis so they are aware of these items as well.
I'm gonna hold off on my discussion on the fountains, but the only other thing, which I forgot to put on here, but I thought of as we were talking about lighting, is there's a bunch of lights, I think there's 4 right around the fountain, that are on all day long. And I don't know if those operate with a photo light or whatever that, you know, they're supposed to come on when it's dark out. But they're on all day long, so I don't know if that's a Tony question. And I think I've seen a few over in the east side also that are on all day.
Well, also, but I only know that.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Okay, I have a few things here. Wastewater treatment plant recently had an inspection, a compliance inspection by the DEC. We passed. They did have some concerns with inflow and infiltration that we need to address, and I will be sitting down with Tony and trying to address those issues. This might be part of like some
Would that
dedicated funds.
Would that be,
moving forward?
that would be Tony's responsibility?
Or Sean's.
I
It
would
be
think Sean, wouldn't it be Sean?
Yeah, that's the plant, if that has to do with the plant itself.
Okay, well, if that's a plant, inflow and infiltration are the pipes leading into the plant that we get a lot of inflow and infiltration through. I will speak both to Sean and Tony to see who is responsible for it, but.
There was, Mayor, there was a big issue with the inflow from the Portland-Pomfret-Dunkirk district, a sewer district, that we spoke of during the contract of negotiations of that some time ago. And that could be part of the problem is they have not resolved their issues and it's still coming in. So it may have something to be addressed there.
Do we know, is that happening like when there's a heavy rain?
And department heads here next week. I'd like to have the trustees, I asked you in the past to review the contracts. If you had any questions or concerns or anything that needs to be brought up during negotiations, please look those over and get back to myself or Attorney Guard. CHIPS funding, I copied a note from Tony as far as CHIPS funding, and that outlines our total amount for the year. So I just wanted to just bring that to your attention there, how much we have left and what we've got moving forward.
Mayor, can we back up to the negotiations for a second?
Sure.
Did you say Attorney Guard will be negotiating?
Yeah, by resolution, last year, a year before, he handles our contract negotiations.
I guess before that starts, I think the board ought to at least review those and decide as a board if there's anything we would like to be on the table for negotiations. I think we ought to at least give them some direction.
I agree. I think that we need to, as a board, set some parameters in regard before we go into negotiation, and I think we need to have an executive session with Attorney Guard related to that.
Okay. Attorney Guard, do you have any comments on that?
No, I'd be happy to speak to the council.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. And, with the changes we've had here in personnel in Village Hall, we should be looking for a deputy clerk and deputy treasurer's positions, if that's something the board could review here in the near future.
Just
Next,
wait,
go ahead.
no, a deputy clerk position. not a deputy treasurer position we're looking for.
Well, should we be looking for both or just deputy clerk?
Well, you have a senior account clerk that serves as primarily an assistant to the treasurer. So if you want to give her the authority that you would, I'm assuming you want a deputy treasurer so that there can be signatures that don't fall on your responsibility, but we can just give that authority to the senior account clerk without creating another position. I think that was the whole point of the senior account clerk. Works with the treasurer and performs those duties. At this time, we're looking for a deputy clerk, a deputy village clerk, but not a deputy treasurer, and those are separate positions.
Right.
So we advertised for a deputy clerk?
We did. Deputy village clerk, yes.
I was told that was pulled. That wasn't?
No. We did advertise. We advertised it in the paper and we advertised it on the board with the,
Is that a part-time position or what is it?
yes.
Yes, it is
And it's
part-time.
very limited in its expenditures. It's just to cover the office in the absence of the village clerk, really.
Right.
when she
Meetings
takes
and
a
office,
vacation.
yes.
Correct.
Meetings and office, and if there's a special project, we set aside the money in the budget for a minimal deputy clerk position.
We haven't talked about it since then, since we were doing the budget. I don't remember talking about this recently.
Last month.
I don't know,
I don't
We
remember.
didn't talk about it last.
I don't think we did. I don't think we've talked about it since we did the budget.
We haven't? I guess I've talked about it with Anne Marie and
Yeah.
with Michelle, yeah, I guess. But yeah, that was part of,
So you talked about Anne Marie and you went ahead and advertised this without having a board discussion.
it's her call, Roger. Actually, the deputy clerk is, serves at the pleasure of the village clerk.
At the town it
Yeah.
does. I don't know if that's the
No,
way
it
it is in
does,
the village.
it does for the village as well. And we
But I
said
know in the
that,
town, the clerk hires. In the village board hires.
yes, there are actually interviews set up.
That would've been nice to know that, seeing as how I'm supposed to be on the personnel committee.
I know, there are a lot of things that happen like that. And what an example was today for the people who were served on the police committee as well. The communication really needs to be, and that's my fault because I was going to speak with you tonight about it, but it is set up for next week. You're welcome to
Well-
attend.
Trustee Bashaw, today, that you can't have more than 2 trustees, otherwise we have a meeting. Trustee Pecos was a combination of both. He's on both the fire and police, and Trustee Fritz was included as well. He was unable to attend, so was
Right.
not an omission or anything intentionally done. We can't have 3
You mean for the
trustees,
commendations?
and
Yeah, but Doug, I think it would have been nice if we were informed about it. The 2 trustees were invited, that's true. When Roger Britz was unable to attend, it would have been nice to inform the other person who is assigned to the police department. And we didn't even receive a notification that it was happening. So, just an
okay,
oversight,
first of all,
I get it.
Trustee Bashaw, I was never notified that Trustee Fritz was not attending. He never responded back.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's
I didn't
also a
know,
problem.
I was under the purview of the board to, that I had to notify you when I did that, so
Yeah,
I
but usually when we
apologize. I don't believe it's under the purview. I
Please say
should have,
Yeah, Doug, usually when we do things like that, it's at a meeting, so we're all
Yeah.
present.
okay, well, I figured, I thought it would be proper to do it in person. I saw no problem with that, and that's why we had it taped, so that everybody could view that in the meeting.
Okay, but if next time we could all be notified, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
I think I did notify everybody I was gonna be doing a proclamation for that in an email.
I believe that the people who were notified were Trustee Britz and Trustee Pecos.
That's correct for before today's meeting, but I noted in an email to everybody that by the next meeting, there will be proclamations made to those individuals. All right, let's move forward. Any old business? Under old business, noise ordinance volume issue. Is there any updates or any conclusions to that? Because if it's not acted on here in the second meeting, I believe it's a dead issue and we have to start over from the beginning, so.
Well, we have to start over anyway if we're talking about doing volume rather than time. So we probably should reconvene the committee.
That's correct, because we would have had to have a new public hearing anyhow, because you would have had new additions to what was presented.
Okay,
So, yeah.
that's fine, thank you. Farmers Market using Barker Common next year. Any comments or questions or concerns on that?
Well, I think we're gonna have to come up with some stipulations. We definitely don't want vehicles in there. I guess we're gonna need to find out from them how they plan to use it, if it's just gonna be those pop-up tents, and they'll be parking, on the street or whatever. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, although I think we need to watch it, and if all our effort and money is getting trampled on and the park starts to look shabby, we may have to reconsider it. I mean, I think it'll work, because you'll probably set up on the grass and everybody will be on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk, that's what they do in other communities.
Yeah.
So I don't envision it being a problem, but I think that we definitely need to, once we have, the meetings are opened up and they can come to the meetings, I think that they would like to come and talk with us. I think they're eager to do that. But the only issue I see is when they start the work around, on the outside of the park. That's gonna be an issue.
Placemaking project,
Right.
correct. Yeah, that would create a problem.
But I know they want to continue using the park, and I think they should be allowed to continue using the park.
All right. Any other old business?
Yeah, I want to bring up a little bit more discussion about the, having a Class D license for one of the employees at the Streets Department, in addition to the supervisor. We're in need of someone to have the license. We have a personnel that does have one, and I think that with the idea here, I think actually Roger Pecos even mentioned that it would be a good idea to propose that we pay a stipend to that person, because that license isn't a part of his normal job classification, I guess you would call it. So he has gone above and beyond to acquire the Class D licensing. That's a distribution for the water that we need. We have to have someone in our department to have that. The supervisor is going forward with the classes, but even after finishing the classes, he's going to have to have a year under a licensed person.
Jim, I'm going to stop you right here, because I think this is an issue that needs to be discussed in executive session under personnel, because I think it's a negotiable thing. It's involving monies, it's involving job duties, and I think that it's something we need to discuss in executive session at the end of the meeting.
That would be correct. I believe it might be
Sure.
executive session
And
material.
I have some questions that
Yes.
might need to be answered in
Yeah.
executive
I
session.
think it's important
or
to talk
discussed
about it, but
anyway.
it really needs to happen in executive session.
Be correct.
Well, I'm fine. I'm fine. If that's what the mayor and
Okay.
attorney feel that we should, then we'll do it there.
We'll discuss that in executive session. Sounds good, thank you. Any other old business?
I had
Yep.
a question about the, where are we with the interconnect on both ends of Route 20 that we were connecting for emergency
I had the
purposes?
Same question I was gonna bring up underwater.
Okay.
So last I knew, I thought Attorney Guard was reviewing what they sent us, so I had the same question, where are we at? Because there's a meeting this week.
Attorney Guard.
I expressed my approval of that agreement. I sent it back to, I believe I replied to the people that sent it to me originally. Doug, I think it might have been you.
Okay, I'm trying to remember that too. Basically, Trustee Pecos, I think what we need to do is come up with a policy or plan on cost and so forth, and going back and forth supplying the water. I think the connections and the contracts with the city of Dunkirk and North County Water District that was amended to allow this, it's fine. I think we need to have a contract in place, an agreement that stipulates the costs of the water that's being transferred or sold back and forth. I think that needs to be done, and I think that's all it would take to move forward on this, and we could continue moving forward.
So what's it gonna take to get that
Yeah.
done?
Attorney Guard, is that something that you could draw up a small agreement or an agreement to purchase and sell water between the Village of Fredonia and the North County Water District?
Okay, going back to the interconnect for just a minute, the agreement that I reviewed, I believed was ready for signature as soon as it was done by resolution. The water, as far as the water rates, there is already an agreement in place, I believe is what the transfer rate is. I'd have to go back to the old agreement and see if there is a number there, but I believe it's already set, and it concerns the current rates charged by the municipality.
So
Okay, so
we have
you need to go ahead.
I was just gonna say that we must have a contract with Dunkirk. Is that what you're referring to? It'd be the same rate as that?
No, it couldn't be the same rate, because they have additional charges on there. Dunkirk, we receive ours from Dunkirk at 1.75 times their residential rate, unless it's in an emergency situation.
Do we sell to Dunkirk and Dunkirk sells to us at the
Yes.
same rate?
Well, not the same rate, no, it's the same formula back towards ours.
It's connected, it's not a specific number, it's connected to the rate being charged by the providing municipality.
Right.
And
Okay,
so,
so-
Dan, you feel that those numbers are in there, and it's just a matter of, you've looked it over and it's ready to go, you feel that it just needs a signature, correct?
Okay, the interconnect agreement that I reviewed was ready for signature, I believe. As far as the water rates, I believe that was an older agreement, and I have to go back and look. I remember seeing it, I remember it's connected to a percentage of the providing municipalities' rates, but I don't remember exactly what it says off the top of my head. I wasn't prepared to talk about it.
And so, does it require a resolution for a signature?
Yes.
So can this be on the next meeting?
I believe so.
Great.
It's been a while since I looked at it, like I said.
Okay. Well, if you could review that, Attorney Guard, that'd be great, and we could put it on for next meeting's agenda to be passed for resolution.
Thank you.
There's, I have another question about what's happening at the pump station on Vineyard Drive, Main Street Extension. I see that it's not all fully installed yet, and there's going to be a need for the possible need for the purchase of water from Dunkirk in order to make some repairs at our water treatment plant. I would like to know where we are with that facility on Vineyard Drive, because there's going to have to be testing done and make sure the flow is proper before any work starts up at that water treatment plant. So I'd like to know where we're at with that. But there was also, I noticed that there was something about the removal. I noticed that there was an email about the removal of a meter and some other equipment from that site. And I just want to be assured that there's going to be a new meter, apparently, I hope, in that facility, because in order to buy and sell water through that station, we have to it's actually required by the contract with Dunkirk that we have to have a meter in there. So I want to make sure that that's also in place.
Is Tony on or no?
Tony is not on. I'll have to give him a call tomorrow.
Well, so I attended I was gonna include this underwater, but I attended the meeting at the water plant on the 27th. And I forwarded some of the notes, but Basically, Candy has been working on the Vineyard Drive station. They were installing new pumps and piping. Startup testing for pumps will be conducted immediately after, and Tony suggested that all his staff be trained so that if there's an emergency, everybody's going to know what they're doing. The power was ready for connection there. I'm jumping around because they have this broken down by contractor. They were going to be taking down the clarifiers, but they suggested we maybe do a trial run after the Vineyard pump station is operational to test the valves to make just in case there's any problems when they start taking down the clarifiers. The valves that they had to take out were old ones. Right now, the only issue with that is going to be actually we're going to be fine. So Tony talked about the fact that he's talked with Dunkirk about establishing a water trading plan just to operate those valves regularly, and so there's no stagnant water. Open them up, send 50,000 gallons over however long that takes to Dunkirk on any given day, and then next time open it up and send 50,000 gallons to Fredonia. So basically it's a, no pun intended, a wash, but basically we're just trading the same amount of money, and it's just to make sure those valves don't sit there for 10 years and they're
Right.
never open, so then when we need them,
Right.
they work. So they plan to do that. Right now, we're gonna be all set. Dunkirk actually has to repair their altitude valve, I guess it's called, in order to get water from us. One of the things is
The pressure.
our pressure is at what, about 125 psi. Dunkirk runs around 68, almost half. So they have to have basically a pressure reducing valve, because what happened one time was somebody opened up the valve when Dunkirk had needed water, and they blew out a bunch of lines. So we're going to be all set. Dunkirk needs to take care of their end, from what I was told at that meeting. I think that's about it for the Vineyard Drive. But we want that all completely finished, and the Webster Road tank completely finished before we take down the clarifiers to make sure, or what do they call them? Basically, it's the first part of the system for cleaning the water before we take those down, and they're going to be done one at a time. We want to make sure, just in case there's any problems, that if we have to get water from Dunkirk, we'll be able to do that.
Now, those are the things that are going to be down for a significant amount of time, and we all have to open up the wall at the plant in order to do that?
Right, the reactors, that's a name for
Right,
it.
the reactors,
right.
yeah. Mhm.
And at the meeting, based on the current timeline, they were looking at late November, which is actually going to be perfect, because if hopefully Fredonia State doesn't close earlier because of COVID, their plan was the students to go home at Thanksgiving and not come back, which means our usage will drop. So it would be a good time to take down one of those reactors and hopefully get it replaced and up and running before, and then work on the second one before the college comes back into session.
In November, you said?
November, yeah.
Because I understand there was concern of whether the pump station would be operational and tested in time for that, and then with the weather changing, to open up the
With the
building.
dry pump station?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
No,
And
that's supposed to be done long before that. And like I said, new pumps and piping was supposed to already be all in place. Vineyard Road, they're talking about the end, or Webster Road tank, the end of September. Typically, they would have 2 days for electric, but we've asked them to try to get it done in a day, and Alstrom Schaefer has agreed to keep the staff on and try to complete it in 1 day, just so that's less amount of time that in case we need it, in case of emergency. But at this point, based on the timelines and the all the contractors there, they were still planning to take those reactors down in November. They had the divers there when I was there, installing the new meters. So they were in the clear while doing that. They were going to be checking out those hatches afterwards. They still weren't sure. If they thought it would probably come in under cost than what we approved last time. But then there was a vent that had to be replaced too, and they were pretty sure they could get that done and still keep it within the cost, if they didn't have to do that other hatch. So at this point.
So you don't recommend, that? When I spoke to Tony, he thought they might recommend that we hold off till spring for that large project at the water treatment plant because of opening the building up.
The big window, the big window.
As of that meeting, they weren't talking about that, unless something changed, as of the 27th.
Okay, so I mean,
That's
it's fine with me
substantial.
if they can move it forward. The other thing also was the purchase, how much, I mean, we're probably talking about $1.1 million a day purchase from Dunkirk, and whether they can handle that, but
If we need to.
if we need to, right?
little bit.
If we need to, and the thing is there's how the cost factor comes in with purchasing that volume of water. Would it be smarter to have a rental filtration?
They've actually talked about that, and they were checking into the cost on that.
The portable rental
A portable station.
station, yep, that's
I mean,
it's in a container, yeah. And they, so I was wondering if there's a comparison. So if it would be cheaper for us to do that, and have that on site, providing us with water, and then still leaving available the Dunkirk supply system as emergency backup.
Again, at the meeting, they were going to investigate that and see, just to see if that was going to be, if it'd be cheaper to do that. They're planning to take down the first clarifier early November and expect it to be down for a month and a half.
Right,
But the contractor suggested we do a trial run, shut it down, and just see how the plant responds, if the other clarifier, how it's keeping up, and see, just to give them a little bit of heads up for when we do finally take it down. So they're planning to do that sometime this fall.
right, that's what I said, it sounds like it's gonna put us right into winter for doing this work up there.
Right, but
So-
it's probably the best time, because it's the lowest water usage time, with the college out and nobody's watering lawns or things like that. You're not washing your car, so it's probably
Filling your
the
pool.
best time to do it, because even if we have to buy water, we'll be buying the least amount.
And did they give you any indication when they would have that comparison? So, because I mean, obviously this is going to be moving, we're getting close to the time that this needs to be done. And if you have to order a mobile system, you don't want to do it on an emergency basis, because it would become more costly on an emergency basis than it would be on a planned basis.
No, and then they didn't have a, let's see, the next meeting is the week of September 21st, so as soon as, I hear something, I ask them to invite me again. But hopefully we'll have that information for that meeting,
On what date?
21st. The week of the 21st. They weren't sure of the day yet. When you have a bunch of contractors, you gotta get everybody together, it's difficult.
I mean, because that's, I think it's a very needed to know information, whether we're going to spend a whole lot of money in one place or another, and there might be a significant savings one direction or the other. And also a safety factor. So,
All right. Is there any other old business? I have one thing that I gave everybody a copy of a email I received from the people from Casadega who wanted to drain water into our lake, and says, "Thank you, Doug. I cannot get DEC approval without an engineering study. Casadega Lakes Association Board is not inclined to pay for said study unless we know that Fredonia is on board with the project if we meet all of your concerns, i.e. DEC approval, Army Corps approval, county health approval. Would Fredonia approve the project? If it's dead, then we can't go forward." What does the board feel at this time?
Has anyone spoken to Chris Sermo about this and how it might affect treatment and provision of water to the village? I think we should involve him in this discussion. It will affect him directly if there's a drain, if water's being drained into the reservoir.
Right, why wasn't he part of this conversation to begin with?
That's a good question.
Great.
He will be now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, my biggest concern
You would
is
know the
the
most.
only time they really want to eliminate water is when there's flooding conditions, and to put a stress on our facility when there's going to be flooding conditions, it seems like
Right.
it doesn't
We'll
be a
flooded
wise
too,
move.
Right?
Seem to be a wise
Yeah.
move.
Well, that's why we need to get
Yeah,
Chris's
we need
perspective.
Chris's input. And while we're on that topic, and maybe this is under old business too, but I'm missing the department heads. We have Chuck with us and Tom with us and Phil and Alyssa, but we have some department heads are missing. Are we? Have they contacted you, Doug, in regard to not being able to attend, or?
They have not. There was a directive sent out a while back that everybody's supposed to be on, so that was done. I will let them know again.
Could
at
you
our
please remind
next
them at
meeting.
your next department head meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Okay, committee reports. Is there anything from police department? Streets and sidewalks?
Actually, I met with Chief Moshlock regarding Barker Commons security, and we met out the park, kicked around some ideas. Actually, I'm gonna be talking with Chip to get his, some input from him on some ideas he might have, and probably with NetSync, and try to put together some kind of proposal or idea what it would cost to at least have some live security cameras out there, so that if somebody's doing damage, we can hopefully catch them. Or maybe just knowing there's live cameras will be a deterrent, so hopefully they don't do damage.
Didn't Joy or Travis say that there were monies set aside for cameras in one of those projects?
I don't think so. I think we asked if there was, and
And
there
I
wasn't.
thought they said it wasn't the one they were talking about, but there's monies in another one
Oh, it'd be-
that's coming
It would be
that,
the streetscape. if it
Yes.
was, probably.
I thought they said there was money for cameras. Because my suggestion was tank the arch and use the money for cameras, and they said, oh no.
The arch will be pretty.
Mm.
Yes.
And they said, oh no, there's money for cameras, I thought. But maybe we should check with them.
Well, that project's not slated until next year, so there's plenty of time for discussion on that.
Good. Are we still on the police department?
You want it to be?
Well, you're about to address something that we will be looking for another officer in the near future. And Chief Maslock and I spoke about that in the last couple of days. Anne Marie will share with us information about her resignation. So there will be a search for a full-time police officer coming up from the department.
Okay.
And no, wait.
Chief Moshlock is on. Chief, do you have anything you'd like to let us know about?
Not at this time, Roger. I did speak with Eva Dawn in regards to the search for a new police officer and possibly getting the civil service list from the county. At this time, Officer Berger will be with us until the 19th of this month.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving forward to streets and sidewalks, anything on that?
No.
Okay.
No, that's,
Finance? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know Chuck is here, so, I know Steve does a pretty good job of checking out the sidewalks to make sure that people are being notified of bad sidewalks, but I know there are a few around still that people haven't gotten to. But I'm pretty sure that Steve's doing a pretty good job at that, as far as the sidewalks go, but.
Yeah, we've backed off now because we're out of monies.
Oh, is that, we're out of monies now?
Yeah, that's what I understand. So we've kind of backed off.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that the community used those funds, and to the fullest advantage of what we had available for this year, then that's great. So-
Do they replenish on the calendar year, Chuck? So starting January,
I believe so, yeah. That's probably more of a question for Tony. We just send we just find the bad sidewalks and then, kind of forward it over to Tony and his crew. And then, he kind of monitors that and
Okay.
stuff like that.
thanks.
Yeah.
Moving forward to finance, any comments there?
The only thing I need to add that we did schedule a special meeting to review the first quarter of our budget, and I find that very necessary here. There's going to be some issues in our finances that we will be discussing, and I'm glad to see we had scheduled a special meeting.
Yeah, I'll keep my concerns, but I know one of the things I'm concerned about is the overtime, how much we've already expended in some of the budget lines.
Okay. Moving forward, public buildings. Any updates? Fire and water?
We haven't met, go ahead,
Roger.
Rob. Go ahead.
Sorry, we've got Roger and I have a meeting scheduled with the fire union on the 18th to start opening discussions with them. And I did talk to the fire chief here just recently regarding the work has not started yet on the building. We're still going through all the small details of getting permits done, some other issues that they had regarding vendors, but they assured us that this will be starting probably within the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we can get construction started before the bad weather kicks in.
I think they want to start
Thank you.
Thursday.
Thank you. Anything else, Trustee Pecos?
Just a couple things I don't know if I covered when I was talking before from that meeting up at the plant on the 27th. They're going to start moving and replacing filter media and filters 1 and 4, 9/14. I think some people have commented that the water maybe had a little bit of a smell or something to it recently. To try to eliminate that, they've gone to the lower intake, and then also when they change these filter beds, that should take care of it too.
Can I interrupt just one quick second, Trustee Pecos?
Sure.
On that, I did speak to Chris Surma on that. I've received numerous calls, concerns, complaints on the odor of the water and the color of the water. I just want to make sure that our community knows that our water is absolutely safe to drink and use. These are conditions that happen during summers that we have really hot conditions, which this summer was one of the hottest ones on record, where you have a lot of algae that formed on the top layer of the water. Whereas what Trustee Pecos said, they go to the lower intake. You still have the smell of the water because it has algae in it, and you have a little bit of turbidity because it's at the lower intake, which is just temporary. This will, once we have a good heavy rain, it should take care of a lot of the algae, and we'll get back to normal smelling, great tasting water, and then it'll be cleared up. It's just a temporary issue, and just have everybody please be patient with the water going forward. Thank you.
And the only other thing is I'll be attending the North County Water District meeting on this Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Anything on the insurance committee?
I met with Wally Katoka in August with Lawley Insurance, and regarding our insurance policies, I received a large document with copies of all of our descriptions of all of our policies. I also reviewed the insurance audit that is required to take place, and that's taken place in the last year. That was an interesting report. I think that our policies renew in December, and that there are a few obvious changes that we should look at. A couple of them include our deductible, which is very high. It's a $10,000 deductible, and we may want to revisit that. And also, we have structures listed on our policies that are part of our properties that aren't worth what the deductible is. So we might want to look at those, things like the dugouts or sheds or I think we need to review the list of coverage, especially with our deductible being so high. So there are a few things that need to take place. Wally's willing to come in and meet with us or make a presentation towards the end of the year, because that's the time to do it. He's saved us some money in the past and by shopping things around, but I do think that there are, and that's great, that's what they do, is shop them around into different companies, but we have some decisions to make in regard to coverage and deductible amounts that could affect our premiums.
Okay, thank you. Anything with Parks and Recreation?
We have, you'll see that there's a resolution on tonight to address the tennis court, but Tom is here, and I'd like to give him an opportunity if he has anything he'd like to address in regard to Parks and Recreation that we haven't. I know it's been a quiet summer.
Yeah. Just the only reason, with that resolution, the two bids that we did receive, the one that I recommended that will be on the resolution for tonight is about half of what the other proposal was. I asked just for just the tennis court sign to be resurfaced. It seems to be the side that needs to be addressed. This is a newer company. But the owner of the company is the tennis coach at Chautauqua Lake. He's done some work for other towns within the county. It looks like great work. I figured that was the best way to go about this. We'll see how we go through that. It gives you folks an opportunity to re-examine the rest of the court as we break winter and the end of our fiscal year, to see if it's something, see where we're at financially heading into that point. I know we won't, as a recreation department, obviously we are not using a lot of our monies this year due to the fact we didn't have a summer program. It's been a long time since these courts have been resurfaced. Roger addressed that. I've had this job since 2012, and we've just had minor crack repair. So it needs to be done. We didn't put the courts there, but we have to take care of them. Otherwise, if we don't, it's going to be an even bigger bill. So that's what I saw. That's why I recommended, and we'll see how everything goes through towards after the winter, and if we have the funds. Again, with the year that we didn't spend a lot of money, it may be something that as we get into March or April that we might want to address the basketball side. But the tennis side needed to be addressed, and those will be redone with proper width pickleball lines in there, and we'll go from there. But I thought it was something that needed to be addressed.
I don't know if any of you have been by there on a pickleball
Yeah,
night. There
I
were a
was
lot
out
of
there
people.
the other
Yeah.
night. There were a lot of
Crowded.
people, and a lot of people observing or
Right.
waiting their turn,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, they get a good crowd.
Yeah, they
And
do.
it's good to have people in the park.
Yeah. Anne Marie, were you able to locate attachments for those quotes?
I did locate the original email, Trustee Bashaw, and I only had the one in it attached that I sent to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, there is another one, and I'll get that because it's kind of interesting to see the difference.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Zoning and planning, anything there?
There's some things going on. I mean, in terms of the two meetings that I went to, they were talking about the comprehensive plan and a way to move forward with that. And then the other meeting that I went to, there was a discussion about the project that's going on at the old Eagle Street School. That's still on track to be transformed into apartments. So that's a great, I think, use of that space, and that's going to be a benefit to the community. Jim, anything?
Okay, anything else? Thank you. Lighting?
Other than looking at,
Well, that we've already discussed that earlier, so.
Okay.
and we addressed the burnt out streetlights. And thank you
Okay.
again to the police department for taking a head count on the burnt-out streetlights.
It would have been nice if they were gonna replace the burnt-out ones with LEDs, because that's the direction we wanna go anyhow, but
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going, so.
Okay, thank you. I think we've gone over personnel unless we need to discuss anything else. Sewers. We went over I&I earlier. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Okay. We won't go into executive session now. We'll go to it at the end of the meeting. Okay, at this point, we'll start the regular meeting.
The regular.
Any regular? Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Oh, no, I don't know what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
It's okay, Carol.
There's something, trustee,
No, I'm losing my mind. Go ahead.
I can't.
Sorry.
Okay. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 8th day of September 2020 via video conference, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of August 24th, 2020, now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Well, second.
Motion and second, trustee Christina,
Yes.
trustee Linden,
Aye.
trustee Britz,
Aye.
trustee Pecos,
Aye.
trustee Bashaw,
Yes.
carried.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to comment shall submit their statement by email to fredoniavillageclerk@netsync.net no later than 4 p.m. Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. Such comments will be read during the public portion of the video conference. I will ask that the comments refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. The first letter I received was from Chief Maslach, and it is a letter of resignation from Jacob Berger. Dear Chief Maslach, please accept this as a formal notice of my resignation from the position of patrolman at the Fredonia Police Department effective September 19, 2020. After careful consideration, I have made the decision to resign in order to take a position as patrolman with the Dunkirk Police Department. I love being in law enforcement and desire the ability to do more in this field. Dunkirk offers more possibility as far as advancement, experience, and opportunities. Along with the possibilities, Dunkirk Police Department offers better benefits, higher wages, more time off, and better retirement. Working for the Fredonia Police Department has been a wonderful experience that has afforded me many opportunities to learn and grow. I am grateful to have been able to work for this village. Sincerely, Jacob Berger. I also received a letter from the farmers market. Dear Fredonia Village Board and Trustees, due to the current unavailability of restrooms located in Village Hall and the library, Fredonia Farmers Market would like to place a porta potty next to our storage shed in the Village Hall parking lot at our own expense for the use of our vendors. We understand that the trustees have little say over the inconvenience of all the construction equipment currently in place. We know that the work taking place is essential and weather sensitive, and we can deal with that. But our vendors are working hard for 5 hours every Saturday morning, and we need to access a bathroom. Thanks in advance for your support. Sincerely, Fredonia Farmers Market. And that's all I received for emails.
Thank you. That being the only two emails, I'll close the public portion of this meeting. I'll start with my mayor's report. Miracle Farms had contacted me recently in regards to different flower selections to the hanging potted plants downtown. This year was excessively hot, and the plants, even though they were watered regularly, they did not do well. There's a price of different flower selection that would be more susceptible to less watering. Glen Acres Nursery, a little bit back, had contacted me. They'd like to donate a tree similar to the trees that are planted throughout the downtown district and the sidewalks. I think it's a square that's in front of Arctic Whites. It has a tree missing in it, a tree that was cut down during a fire that the fire department had to remove. So sometime shortly, they would like to donate a tree and have the DPW plant that. I'll let everybody know when that takes place as well. As far as COVID-19, obviously, if everybody's been paying attention to the news, we've seen a spike in cases at SUNY Fredonia and throughout students living throughout the village. This is a concern. We are working closely with the college, the county, and other local community officials to try to, and our police department, to try to, get a handle on this. In the meantime, I've made the decision to continue with our Zoom meetings. The governor has extended remote meetings until October. So that's still doable. And I think based on what we're seeing right now with local cases, I just erring on the side of caution. And that being said, I will also, last meeting, I made the decision to open up Village Hall. I will rescind that and just keep us where we're at right now. There hasn't been any complaints or so forth as far as services not being handled by our employees that our employees have received. So this clears up a little bit. We'll revisit both of those at a later date. Would also like to thank Fredonia Place, the WCA Home, two of our assisted living homes, for seniors in Fredonia for voluntary suspending visitation for 2 weeks during this current outbreak. Their efforts are fantastic and keep our most vulnerable residents safe during this time. Many thanks to these two facilities and all that are trying to mitigate more outbreaks. Well, they're, different places are taking precautions. The governor has not thrown up the red flag. We are working again closely with our county and college officials to address these situations with our police department as well. And this is just done as a precaution, not as an emergency right now. The infection rate, is high at SUNY Fredonia with the residents of the campus off-site and in our community. And I just would continue to ask college residents in our community to practice safe distancing and the wearing of masks even throughout our community. I know they're required to wear masks whenever they're on campus, but I would ask that they would be responsible and show examples for their other fellow students to wear masks throughout our community as well. Not to hold large parties and do responsible things during these parties that would get people to be contact with COVID-19 individuals. So please, and I do applaud the large amount of students at Fredonia State do follow the rules and practice all the social and safe practices that they should be. That's not the whole campus as a whole. Majority of them do the proper things and take proper precautions. We appreciate that as a village. That is all I have for my report. Go to trustees' reports. Trustee Christina.
Yeah, I have two things. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like I'm wondering if there's a way we could maybe streamline meetings. I don't know how. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of important things to discuss, but we had reports. Everybody made a report during the workshop, and then we also have a place for trustees to give reports during the regular meeting. I'm just wondering, maybe we think it's necessary, but could we just maybe do reports in one meeting or the other rather than both? I feel like we are kind of like talking about the same things a lot. I'd like to see the meetings streamlined, and I know we've had issues and we've talked about department heads coming to meetings and not coming to meetings and whatever, and I'm wondering if maybe, and I guess this would be your purview, Doug, because you lead the meetings, if maybe we would, like, the first meeting of the month, maybe 2 or 3 of the department heads could come to that meeting, and then the trustees who are assigned to that could be a report for that meeting. And then the second meeting of the month, 3 other department heads or whatever could be assigned to come. So not everybody has to come to the same meeting and sit for an hour and a half or 2 hours during a workshop. Like, I feel like there's a way to better streamline so that we're not continually reporting on a lot of these things repeatedly all the time. I don't know, is that just me?
The only problem with having the department heads separate is that it all depends on what's going on in those departments. And sometimes one department has multiple things going on, and
Right, I
another
get
doesn't have
that.
anything.
Right. Yeah, I think
Hey,
it's important for the department heads to be here, but I do agree that the streamlining, it's kind of redundant to have committee reports and then reports for trustees in
Right.
the meeting.
I got half of my stuff crossed off already
Right.
because it fell under committee.
Right, so maybe we should just do
So-
one or the other instead of
Right.
both.
Is it possible to do one or the other, Doug?
That would be fine. As far as the department heads, when we held in-person meetings, they're all required to attend.
Yes.
Most of the department heads right now attend remotely, so it really shouldn't be an issue. I still believe that they all should be connected and attending the meeting either remotely or in person.
I agree with that,
oh.
yeah.
Oh,
But in regard to the reports, Doug, can we either do committee reports?
yes, I will
Or-
cut out the individual committee reports, and when you do your own reports, you can comment on your committees. that
Okay,
were
yeah, then we
assigned.
can include everything just in
Yes.
one report.
Yeah,
I think that would be
good.
easier. Thank
Okay,
you.
that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'd rather it be in the meeting because that's.
Because
Then
then
it's
it's on
part of the
record.
record.
I agree.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
agree too.
that's kind of what I was moving
Yeah.
toward. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. The other thing that, and I guess this is not really a report from me, but it's more of a question I'm posing, because about 6 weeks ago, we discussed negotiations with the town of Pomfret regarding
Water,
water.
sewer.
And I'm wondering where we are. I know that a proposal was offered to them. I don't know if they countered with something. I am very concerned about where we are in terms of negotiations. I want to make sure that we keep them as part of our water system. I would hate to lose them as a customer. I would like to know maybe during the other trustees' reports, they can comment on that, because the majority of the board agreed to a figure, and that is not the figure that was proposed, and I'm concerned that that is going to lose us, the customers. So maybe one of the two negotiators or the mayor would want to respond to that when it's time for them to do so, and if anybody else wants to jump in and discuss, that would be great.
Is that all, trustee?
Yep, that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Linden.
Well, as part of that, with trustee Britz, the last meeting that was scheduled, I was the only one with the mayor there. I'm sorry, I was the only one with our treasurer there. Mayor and Britz were not there. As far as any proposals go, they came back with a proposal that was significantly lower by a large number than even what the board considered,
It was lower than the one that the three of us agreed to?
by far. And so anyhow.
Did you share that number with them, or no?
It didn't have to, they were so far below, they came with a number that was so far below without even having to share that number, it didn't matter.
What was that number?
I believe it was, I mean, this is a report time, it's not a discussion time. I was just reporting what they had. Oh, here it is. $5.04 per thousand, which is, I mean, well, anyhow, the negotiations were still going on. They haven't set up a new date yet. I'm sure that'll be coming soon. The mayor, I'm sure, will make sure that we have a meeting soon to go further negotiations with Mr. Britz, trustee Britz and myself. So we'll see where it goes. I'm sure there'll be some thoughts on how to direct that.
Absolutely. We'll be scheduling a meeting shortly, and we will report back to the board.
Is it possible to have that meeting, since negotiations are happening in public for this particular contract, can we invite the town of Pomfret representatives to come to our next meeting to have this discussion among all of us?
It's totally up to the board. If the board decides we would like to do that, we can invite them to the next meeting.
Maybe not the next meeting, but the meeting after the next meeting, because the next meeting is going to be very long.
Okay?
I mean, you're gonna, see that the problem with that then is then you're not having a negotiating committee. We have a committee for a reason. Roger,
correct.
is Roger Britz, are you on?
Yes, I am.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, this is why we got into the problem where we got the low ball, is because there was correspondence that was being thrown back and forth from the town supervisor to our emails, through the meeting, and it really, the whole idea of negotiations is not to negotiate ourselves into a bad place with a contract, is actually to make a contract that is in the best interest of the village on our part as far as negotiators. It's not to sell the farm, or give up the farm. So
The fact is, three of us, the majority, gave a number that we said to make an offer for, and that was not done.
that number came, like I said, they came back. It doesn't matter. They came back with a number that was so far below. In my opinion, because of that open discussion, there was people that made statements here that said that they should come back and try and give us a new number.
What open discussion was that?
That was-
When was there an open discussion?
Yet.
That's why I asked, because I had no idea where negotiations were, how they were moving forward, and I'm just curious, because I'm very concerned.
Well,
This should have been something brought up either in open discussion during our workshop session. This is a time for the trustees to do our reports at this time.
Right, this is a
That's
report.
correct.
I would like to stick to that.
Well, this should have been
Yeah.
reported last meeting
Right, I
after
want
you
it to
guys
be on the
mailed it
Okay,
record.
down.
guys, this conversation's totally out of order. Please let trustee Linden continue with his
That's,
report, and we'll move forward.
I'm finished with my report. I'll wait for the negotiations to begin again.
Okay, we will schedule a negotiations meeting, and the negotiations committee will report back to the board. Anything else, trustee Linden?
No, thank you.
Trustee Gretz?
The only report I had was given during my committee report. We have a meeting scheduled with the fire union on the 18th, and work has not started yet on the fire hall. And again, we have not rescheduled another meeting with the town of Pomfret to start negotiations again with the water contract. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Pecos?
I have a meeting this Friday with Rick Davis to get caught up on any progress with the Opera House, and also we'll be talking about HVAC specifically. So I will be reporting on that at the next meeting. I met with Bob Booth again, Professor Emeritus Robert Booth from the college, who refurbished our fountains twice already. Now that he's retired, he doesn't really have doesn't feel he's got the ability to do the project this time. He doesn't have the equipment at his disposal. He invited in two well-known sculptor/artists, Susan Geisler and also Bill Koch. Susan's done a lot of work up, and you can Google her name and you'll see the projects she's done up around Lewiston and some of that area up there. She's working on a couple big projects right now. Bill has also done some pretty nice work. One of the ones I was checking out online, you can Google, is the statue of Jimmy Griffin, former Buffalo mayor, throwing out the first pitch. So they both checked out the fountain. Bob Booth, even though he's not going to do the project, is a big help with us, and I want to publicly thank him for kind of taking the lead on this, and out of his own researching and contacting these two artists and inviting them down to check out this project and try to get it fixed. He also offered them, he has some molds still, casting molds from when he rebuilt these fountains twice. And he offered that to them, which of course would save them time and save us money. So even though he's not doing the project, he's helping us out still. The police chief, Chief Marshlock, had given me a chunk that they had found, which even though we didn't think it would be worth much, actually it was a kind of a huge thing as far as being able to proportionally, accurately figure out the size of what's missing. So that actually is a big piece. But one of the things that became pretty apparent in the discussions I've had with Bob and with these other two artists is these two fountains were put in 1901. And this is the third major repair in the last 30 years due to vandalism. If we want these things to last, we have got to do a better job of taking care of them, just regular maintenance, and then also protecting them so that this stuff doesn't happen. So I think it's this discussion we need to have with Tony about maybe some regular checking on them to make sure everything's functioning well. So both these artists are supposed to hopefully send me a estimate within the next, I'm hoping before next meeting, so we'll have that to go with. The first one, Susan Geisler, I don't think she gave me a timeline. The other guys, Mr. Koch, he would like to get started if possible, if we can do it this fall and have it done for late spring so that we could actually hopefully have the fountains working in the summer. Again, that's going to depend on the costs and whether or not we can afford to fix them. So I will have a report next time on that. I covered the rest of Barker Commons, I believe. The only other thing is, and I should have probably brought this some new business, but I noticed as I was going through the budget, I think we've only spent a couple thousand out of maybe 30,000 for trees, contractual. There are a lot of dead green ash trees killed by the emerald ash borer in this village. If you can drive down any street and you'll see them. So I don't know if you've had any discussion with Tony, Mayor, Doug yet on that, but I would think because they become a hazard as soon as they start dying, we probably should unfortunately have to do some major tree removal and get rid of a lot of the dead trees that are lining the streets. And that's all I have.
Thank you. There'll be one more thing I will discuss, Tony. Thank you. Trustee Bashaw.
Yes, I'd like to first apologize to our village clerk, Anne Marie, for not including her in the list of department heads who were present, because you certainly are, and that's my oversight. And that's really, I wanted to thank Bob Booth too, and our wonderful fire and police department for their heroic actions last month. I think they did a great job. That's it.
Thank you. Anne Marie, do you have anything as far as clerk report, other than I see the reports there, but anything other than what's listed on our agenda?
No, I have, no.
Okay.
I have reports.
Okay, please read reports.
The first code enforcement report for the month of July 2020. Building permits issued 33, inspections 12, certificates of occupancy 1, certificates of compliance 14, violations found 21, violations satisfied 10. Fees collected, permit fees $4,368, rental fees $2,790, certificate of compliances $1,700, zoning variances $250 for a total of $9,108. Rental inspections 33, rental renewals 14. Junk car property maintenance found 4 junk cars and 19 property maintenance inspections, removed 13 property maintenance and 3 junk cars. Annual fire inspections 32, complaints received 10, complaints satisfied 10, stop work orders 1. 33 permits generated $4,368 in revenue. The estimated cost of work for the month of July was $640,299. Does that make sense? $640,299.
Yeah, an extra 9 in there.
I know. That's why I got confused. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's the report for the code enforcement. The next report I have is the Fredonia Police Department report for the month of August 2020. Incidents reported 695, accidents 15, arrests reported 39, vehicle and traffic 21, domestic incidents 27, parking tickets 15. That is it for the reports.
Thank you. Correspondence, please.
Correspondence was received from Tracy Matrano Campaign requesting the use of Barker Common Gazebo on September 20th, 2020 for a town hall.
Be it resolved that the request from Susan Royal, Tracy Matrano campaign organizer, to use the Barker Common Gazebo for a town hall on Sunday, September 20th, 2020, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. is hereby approved with the stipulation that the group will be responsible for any cleanup and is subject to the Village of Fredonia Police Department and the village receiving a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the village as additional insured.
Second.
Motion and second, is there any further discussion?
Just make, Doug, if you could make sure with Tony that we have some trash cans out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure. Okay. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Correspondence was received from the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department advising the board that they held their annual meeting and approved the attached list of expected duties and operations for the coming year, which I included in the Board of Trustees packet. I can read it if you like.
Not sure if we need a resolution for this, but if we do, that could be something that could be at the next special meeting that we
I'll
have.
include it at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Move on to resolutions.
Whereas a proposal has been received from the accounting firm of Drescher and Malecki LLP, 3083 William Street, Buffalo, New York, dated August 7th, 2020, which sets forth accounting/auditing services to be provided to the Village of Fredonia Justice Court for general purpose financial statements for a 3-year period commencing June 1st, 2020 and ending May 31st, 2022. And whereas the cost to the village is not to exceed $1,850 for the fiscal year 2020, $1,878 for the fiscal year 2021, and $1,906 for the fiscal year 2022. And whereas the village desires to retain the said accounting firm for a 3-year period, and whereas the village deserves the right to terminate said proposal at any time the village deems it necessary to do so, and the accounting firm shall be paid up to date of termination, and be to resolve that the said proposal is hereby approved and the mayor is hereby authorized to sign an agreement incorporating said proposal.
I'll second that resolution.
Motion and second, is there further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Aye.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia hereby gives Thomas Lejeski, Dunkirk, New York, permission to join Chautauqua County Mobile Air Response Team and is permitted to respond outside the district in the capacity as a Chautauqua County Mobile Air Response Team member and is covered by the VFBL in the event of an injury or incident. And the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the Chautauqua County Fire and Emergency Medical Mutual Aid Plan Special Team Participation Authorization Form.
I'll second that.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia hereby gives Leslie Lejeski, Dunkirk, New York, permission to join Chautauqua County Fire Police Team and is permitted to respond outside the district in the capacity as a Chautauqua County Fire Police Team member and is covered by the VFBL in the event of injury or incident. And the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the Chautauqua County Fire and Emergency Medical Mutual Aid Plan Special Team Participation Authorization Form.
I'll second that resolution.
Been motion and second, further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Pecos? I'm sorry, Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Whereas the village desires the 2 tennis courts at Russell Joy Park to be resurfaced for the use of village residents, and whereas Chautauqua Court resurfacing of 4711 Bemis Ellery Road, Bemis Point, New York, 14712, has offered to perform such services for the amount of $10,900, and whereas the cost of this public works project is below $35,000 and does not require public bidding, therefore, be it resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to enter into agreement with Chautauqua Court resurfacing for an amount not to exceed $10,900.
I second that.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Vashon?
Yes.
Is there anything, let's see, at this point, we need to enter into executive session for litigation and to discuss the employment history of a specific employee. Is there any other reasons to go into executive session?
And to discuss job duty, I think, and stipend for other employees.
Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session for those reasons?
So moved.
Second,
Second?
and a second, trustee Christina,
Yes.
trustee Linden,
Aye.
trustee Brits,
Yes.
trustee Pecos,
Yes.
trustee Vashon.
Yes. There is a presentation, I think, I sent you all an email before. There is a presentation on a comprehensive plan proposal from Ingalls Planning. We were able to procure the Opera House on Monday, the 14th at 6 p.m. with social distancing. And this is a joint meeting between the village and town planning boards, and the board members are invited, of course not to exceed 3. And I just wanted to remind people, the board members, that that's happening.
Well, it can't exceed 3 because it's a public meeting.
That's what I mean. It can't exceed 3, and I'll be there. So
If we're in the audience, you can't have.
Yes,
No,
you
we
can.
can all attend, it's not a
Yes,
meeting.
right, it's a public.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
That's what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
Anybody can go.
thank you, trustee Vashon.
Yeah, we can.
Chip,